Ladies and gentlemen, champions in the making, there comes a time in life when we face hardship, when we face ourselves too high, the road too long, and the burden too heavy. And in those moments, many wish the path would get easier. But let me tell you something powerful. Don't wish it was easier to get better. Wishing never changed a man. Action did, skill did, growth did. Let's talk about the mindset that separates the average from the extraordinary. The idea that easier paths make weaker people is more than just a motivational slogan. It's a truth that plays out in every area of life. Growth, strength, and mastery are never born from comfort. They are forged in fire of resistance, challenge, and discipline. When people constantly seek the path of least resistance, they rob themselves of the very thing that develops their potential. Muscles don't grow without pressure. Diamonds are formed without heat. And people don't become powerful without problems. When life gets hard, it's tempting to wish things were easier, to hope for shortcuts, to avoid the grind, to pray the obstacles would just disappear. But easy never made anyone excellent. In fact, the easier the road, the more unprepared you are when real challenges hit. Imagine a soldier trained only in simulations, never exposed to real combat conditions. When the real fight comes, he won't rise to the occasion, he'll collapse under the pressure. Why? Because his training was too easy to make him strong. Let's take a simple example. Think about two students preparing for an exam. One student uses a study guide that gives him all the answers, no real effort required. The other digs deep, reading, reviewing, testing himself, struggling to grasp the concepts. On test day, who do you think is more prepared? The one who took the easy road might pass if the questions are predictable. But if the test throws a curveball, he's exposed. Meanwhile, the student who endured the hard study sessions, who wrestled with the material, walks in with confidence because he became better, not just luckier. The hard road made him strong. This principle applies in business, relationships, finances, even spiritual life. The people who become powerful are those who lean into the struggle, not those who run from it. Easier paths might feel good in the moment, but they create long-term weakness. They teach you to expect comfort instead of earning success. They make you dependent on things going right instead of training you to adapt when things go wrong. And when adversity comes, as it always does, people who always took the easy way are the first to break. Here's the truth: you don't grow when things are easy. You grow when you face difficulty and keep going. You grow when you fail and get back up. You grow when you're tired, frustrated, and afraid, and you still show up anyway. That's where character is built. That's where confidence is born. That's where greatness is created. So don't pray for the road to be smooth, pray for the strength to climb. Don't beg for the burden to be lifted, build the muscle to carry it. Because every time you choose the harder right over the easier wrong, you become someone who can't be broken. Someone built for impact. Someone built for greatness. And that kind of person doesn't necessarily need an easier path because they are better than the obstacle ... when life hits hard. And you always have a choice to get better or to get bitter. Both are reactions to pain, setbacks, and disappointments, but only one leads to growth. The other leads to resentment, blame, and ultimately stagnation. Getting bitter is easy. It requires nothing from you but a wounded ego and a sharp tongue. But getting better, that requires humility, responsibility, and the willingness to evolve. Bitterness is a trap disguised as protection. It convinces you that the world is unfair, that people are against you, and that your failure is someone else's fault. It allows you to stay stuck while blaming everyone else, but the problem is bitterness never builds. It only breaks down. It poisons your thoughts, weakens your spirit, and robs you of the very power you need to rise again. Getting better, on the other hand, is a decision. It's when you say, yes, that hurt. Yes, I failed. Yes, I'm frustrated, but I'm not staying here. Getting better is about asking, what can I learn? How can I grow? What part did I play in this, and how do I improve next time? It's about using the pain as fuel, not as a wall. Let me give you a simple but powerful example. Imagine two employees who both get passed over for a promotion. Both feel disappointed. One gets bitter. He starts slacking off, talks behind the manager's back, and tells anyone who'll listen that the system is rigged. Months later, he's disengaged, unmotivated, and even further from promotion than before. The other one, though equally disappointed, decides to get better. He asks for feedback. He starts learning new skills, showing up early and helping others. He turns the setback into a setup for a comeback. Within months, he becomes the obvious choice for the next opportunity, not because the system changed, but because he did. Bitterness says, they did me wrong. Better says, hey, how can I rise regardless? Bitterness keeps score. Better keeps growing. Bitterness clings to the past. Better creates the future. Life doesn't reward bitterness, it rewards resilience, responsibility, and relentless improvement. You will face rejection. You will experience betrayal. You will encounter unfairness. That's not a maybe, that's a guarantee. But whether those things leave you broken or built depends entirely on the choice you make after they happen. So don't waste your energy complaining about what didn't work out. Use that energy to work on yourself. Don't let bitterness rot the soil of your future. Plant seeds of growth, water them with discipline, and protect them with faith. Because every time you choose to get better instead of bitter, you move closer to your purpose. You become harder to stop. And you become someone who doesn't just survive adversity, you transform because of it. Remember, bitterness is heavy. Growth is power. And when life gives you the chance to pick one, always choose to get better. Mastery is not something you are born with. It's not a magical gift that only a few special people receive. Mastery is a choice, a deliberate decision to commit, to improve, and to rise above mediocrity. Too many people sit on the sidelines of life, waiting for talent to show up, waiting for a lightning bolt of genius to strike them. But the truth is, mastery doesn't come to those who wait. It comes to those who put the work. The difference between average and extraordinary isn't talent, it's effort. The most successful people in the world didn't start out as masters of their craft. They became masters through relentless repetition, ruthless discipline, and the refusal to settle for less than their best. Mastery is about doing the thing over and over, even when you're tired, even when it's boring, even when no one is watching. That's the price of excellence. People love to say things like she's just a natural or he's gifted. But that kind of thinking is dangerous. It gives you an excuse not to try. It tells you that greatness is out of your control, that if you don't have the gift, you might as well give up. But that's a lie. What looks like a gift from the outside is often just hours, days, and years of invisible hard work. Take the example of someone learning to play the piano. Two people start at the same time. One believes in talent, so when it gets tough, when his fingers don't move fast enough or notes don't sound right, he says, maybe I'm just not cut out for this. He practices only when he feels like it. Progress is slow, and eventually he quits. The other person believes in effort. When she struggles, she leans in. She practices daily, even when it's hard. She asks for help, studies the craft, and keeps showing up. 1 year later, she's playing beautifully. People say she's so gifted, but they didn't see the choice she made every single day to keep going, to keep learning, to pursue mastery. You don't need to be the most talented person in the room. You just need to be the most committed. Talent may give you a head start, but it's discipline that wins the race. Mastery is built in the moments when no one applauds, when progress is invisible, when growth feels slow. It's in those moments that champions are made not because they had a gift, but because they made a choice. So stop waiting to feel ready. Stop hoping for a shortcut. Choose mastery. Choose to stay longer in the gym. Write one more page, take one more lesson, watch one more tutorial. Choose to keep growing when others quit. That's how mastery is made. Not in some grand explosion of brilliance, but in daily, quiet, intentional effort. You don't need a gift. You just need to make the choice. Pain is not your enemy, it's your guide. Most people spend their entire lives trying to avoid pain, discomfort, anything that challenges them. But what if the very pain you're avoiding is the key to your breakthrough? What if the door to your next level is hidden behind the thing you keep running from? The truth is, the pain you avoid is often the exact door you need to walk through to grow, to heal, and to rise. Pain is a teacher. It reveals the places inside you that need strengthening. It exposes your weaknesses not to shame you, but to show you where the work needs to happen. But too often we cover that pain with distraction, excuses, or busyness, We run from it instead of facing it. And in doing so, we miss the opportunity that lies on the other side. Imagine someone afraid of public speaking. Every time they're asked to speak, they find a way out. They say, I'm just not good at it, or it's not my thing. But deep down, they know that their career, their influence, and their confidence would explode if they could just break through that fear. That fear is pain. But it's not a punishment, it's a signal. A signal saying, come here, grow here. The very thing they're avoiding is the door to their next level. Let's take a real life example. Think about someone who's been hurt in a past relationship. Maybe they were betrayed or abandoned. The pain from that experience makes them close off. Now, every time a new relationship starts to get serious, they pull away. They avoid emotional vulnerability because it reminds them of that old wound. But what they don't realize is this: healing doesn't come from hiding. It comes from facing the pain, working through it, and choosing to love again despite the fear. The door to real connection, love, and fulfillment is behind that very pain they keep avoiding. Growth lives in discomfort. Mastery lives in challenge. Breakthrough lives in what you'd rather skip. The gym you don't want to walk into, the conversation you don't want to have, the truth you don't want to admit, those are the doors. And every time you avoid them, you stay the same. You keep circling the same mountain, wondering why life isn't changing. It's because transformation doesn't come through avoidance. It comes through courage. So stop running, stop dodging, stop numbing, turn and face the pain, walk straight into a purpose. Because the other side of pain is power. The other side of resistance is reward. And the version of you that's been waiting to be unlocked is standing just beyond the door you've been afraid to open. Don't let fear close your future. Don't let discomfort keep you average. Choose growth. Choose courage. And remember, the pain you avoid is not a wall, it's a doorway. And the only way out is through one of the biggest lies people believe, is that success comes by luck, by chance, or by waiting for the right moment. They think a big break is something that shows up out of nowhere, something handed to them when the stars align. But the truth is, you're not waiting on a break. Your break is waiting on you. It's waiting on you to become the person who can handle the opportunity. It's waiting on you to put in the work, develop the skill, and build the mindset necessary to walk through the door when it opens. Opportunities don't show up for people who sit still. They show up for people who are already moving. Life is not about waiting at the bus stop of success, hoping that someday the brake will pull up and invite you in. It's about building your own vehicle and driving in the direction of your dreams, regardless of how long it takes or how hard it gets. Most people don't miss their break because it never came. They miss it because they weren't prepared when it did. They hadn't sharpened their skills, built the discipline, or developed the confidence to recognize it and grab it. So it passed them by not because the break wasn't real, but because they weren't ready. Let me give you a clear example. Imagine a musician working a 9-to-5 job, writing songs at night, grinding every weekend to perform at small venues, recording tracks in their bedroom. It's exhausting. No record deals, no radio play, just effort and passion. Then one day a popular influencer hears one of their songs and shares it. Suddenly the artist is flooded with opportunities. People call it an overnight success. But was it really overnight? No, that moment was years in the making. The break came because the artist had already been doing the work. Had they not been writing, recording, and staying committed when no one was watching, there would have been nothing to discover, nothing to share, and no reason for that break to arrive. That's how real breakthroughs work. They show up when you've earned them, when you've outgrown your current level and are prepared for more. When you stop saying, I'm waiting on something to happen, and start saying, I'm becoming someone that things happen for. So the question is not, when will my break come? The real question is, will I be ready when it does? Because if you're grinding, growing, and getting better every day, your break is not some distant fantasy, it's a future reality waiting for the right version of you to show up. Take responsibility for your destiny. Stop waiting to be chosen. Choose yourself. Choose to prepare like the door will open tomorrow, even if it doesn't for a year. Because when it does open, you won't need luck. You'll be ready. Excuses are easy to make but expensive to live with. They sound reasonable in the moment, but they slowly drain your potential, rob your power, and keep you broke, not just financially, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Excuses are the language of those who have surrendered control of their lives. They shift blame, avoid responsibility, and keep people stuck in the same cycle year after year. If you want to rise, if you want to win, if you want to live a life of purpose and abundance, you have to stop speaking the language of excuses and start speaking the language of action. When you make excuses, you give your power away. You say things like, I don't have time, I wasn't born with that talent, my situation is different, or I would, but in saying that, you confirm to yourself that your future is controlled by forces outside of you. You give life, people, and circumstances more power over your destiny than you give yourself. That's not strength, that's surrender. People who win don't make excuses, they find ways. They don't say, I can't, they say, how can I? They don't wait for perfect conditions. They create progress with what they have. Success is not about having more, it's about doing more with what you already have. And that starts when you stop justifying your limitations and start demanding more from yourself. Take this simple example. Imagine two aspiring entrepreneurs, both want to start an online business. One says, I would start, but I don't have the money, I don't have the time, and I don't know the right people. The other says, I may not have much, but I've got a phone, internet, and time after work. I'll start small, learn, and build from there. A year later, the first person is still talking about why they can't, while the second one is taking orders, building a brand, and gaining momentum, not because it was easier, but because they refused to speak the language of the powerless. Excuses feel good in the short term because they protect your ego. They allow you to fail without feeling responsible. But over time, they become chains that keep you from the life you were created to live. And the longer you speak in excuses, the more fluent you become in the language of limitation. If you want to change your life, start by changing your language. Replace I can't with I must. Replace I don't have time with it's not a priority. Replace I'm not ready with I'll get ready as I go. Winners don't need perfect conditions. They just need a reason. And their reason is always bigger than their excuse. The moment you stop making excuses is the moment you start making progress. Excuses may explain your situation, but they'll never elevate it. So speak the language of vision. Speak the language of power. Because every time you choose discipline over excuses, you take a step toward your destiny. Your future isn't determined by luck, fate, or even your biggest dreams. It's shaped by your smallest decisions. The life you're going to live tomorrow is being built by the habits you choose today. Not the once-in-a-while actions, not the moments when you feel inspired, but the things you do consistently every single day. That's where your future is hiding, in the invisible grind, the quiet choices, the small disciplines that no one claps for. Most people overestimate the power of one big move and underestimate the power of repeated motion. They think success is some grand event like winning the lottery or getting discovered. But real success doesn't come in an explosion, it shows up in increments. Tiny daily improvements that compound over time. Every time you choose to read instead of scroll, to save instead of spend, to create instead of consume, you're casting a vote for the future version of yourself. Your habits are the blueprint of your destiny. If you want to know where you'll be in 5 years, don't look at your goals, look at your daily routine. Are you investing in yourself daily? Are you learning, growing, stretching, and building consistency? Because if your habits don't align with your vision, you're not moving toward it, you're moving away from it. Let me give you a powerful example. Imagine two people who each want to write a book. One says, when I have time, I'll write. They wait for long weekends, vacations, or inspiration to hit. Months pass, and they're still talking about their idea. The other one decides to write just one page a day, no matter what. Rain or shine. Tired or energized, one page, it doesn't feel like much. It's not glamorous. But after a year, they've written 365 pages of full-length book. What looked like a small, almost insignificant habit ended up creating a life-changing result. That's how habits work. They don't transform you overnight, but they do over time. They sneak up on you. You wake up one day with a strong body, a healthy bank account, a powerful mindset, not because of one big decision, but because of 1,000 small ones stacked together. Your future isn't out there somewhere waiting for you to discover it. It's being written in your choices right now. The problem is most people don't connect their daily actions to their long-term outcomes. They think skipping a workout today doesn't matter. Spending a little extra money doesn't matter. Watching one more episode doesn't matter. And once maybe it doesn't. But when it becomes a pattern, it becomes a path. And that path leads to a destination when you may or may not want to arrive at. So check your habits. Audit your day. Are you building the future you say you want, or are you just talking about it? Because the future doesn't respond to what you wish for. It responds to what you do daily. And if you change your habits, you can change your life one day at a time. So today, make the decision. No more hoping it gets easier. No more playing small. No more excuses. You have everything inside of you to get better, to rise, to grow, to dominate your field, your purpose, your destiny. It's not the weight of the world that breaks you, it's how you carry it. Pick it up differently. Carry it like a winner. And when others fold, you'll rise not because life got easier, but because you got better. Let's go.